Hello everyone and welcome back guys to F1 2018 Williams Road to Glory Season 2 Round 2 for the Bahrain Grand Prix. And if you guys did miss out on yesterday's episode, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. That video as well, I must thank you guys, it's got already over 10,000 views by the time I'm recording this, which once again is just absolutely mind-blowing, and yeah, I cannot thank you guys enough for the support. We've also hit 2.5 million overall channel views, and we're now up to 9,400 subscribers as well, which is really good. You know, happy, but slowly but surely making our way up to 10k at the moment. So obviously, if you are new around here and you aren't already subscribed, I would highly recommend doing so, and I would also really help me out. But yeah, let's move on then into Bahrain. Obviously, an interesting track, one that I'm not particularly strong at. We have got one new part going onto the car moving into this race. As you can see, the drag front wing end plate has been applied now, which is obviously really ideal. We're slowly moving up the order, as you can see there. Williams now technically above Alfa Romeo and Toro Rosso now. Last race probably, you know, spoke some different stories to that order. Obviously, it is just an estimation by the game. Some cars are a lot stronger than the game does think. I also got a couple of requests even from yesterday's video to sort of show you guys the performance chart, and as you can see, Mercedes took a big hit moving into Season 2, as well as Toro Rosso. Obviously, those two teams not able to convert all their parts from Season 1, moving into the rule changes for Season 2. So yeah, Toro Rosso, well and truly, you know, quite far off the pace, theoretically, off the rest of the field there. But free practice, once again, was a fairly sort of simple session, nothing too much to talk about from there. Obviously, we did pick up quite a few R&D points. As I mentioned last time out, we are really going to try and focus on one area of the car for the first bit of Season 2, and that will probably end up being the aerodynamics. You know, the chassis has had quite a few upgrades, but I really do feel the aero was where this car is lacking at the moment. But let's move on then into quali. So qualifying then for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and overall, my first run was actually, you know, pretty mediocre. You know, there were a couple of small mistakes around the lap on the whole, but down towards the line, it is going to be P6 at that stage of the day, but still a bit more time to find in this Williams car. And then on to my second run then, my last-ditch attempt to try and get through into Q2. You can see we're actually stuck in a little bit of traffic behind Stoffel Van Dorn here as we come through the second sector. He's absolutely holding me up. No end there. Just come through in towards the hairpin, just look, pretty much pushing him through the corner there, lose the back end ever so slightly on the corner, and then Van Dorn decides to back out after he's already cost me a good sort of half a second there, which, well, that was very frustrating on the whole. I'm sure Sebastian Vettel would have been on the blue flags radio like we were used to here there. But out of the final corner, then down towards the line, we're still going to find another half a second on my run, but it's not going to be good enough for Q2 there. Really disappointed with that. As I said, Van Dorn, yeah, I really felt he did cost me quite a lot of time there. Hamilton was the quickest in Q1. There was Seb and Valtteri both getting through on a set of the soft compound tyres there. Lance did actually make it through into Q2 though, which was obviously really good for him, and we were just 3/10 off, so I certainly did feel that we had the pace over my teammate to make it into Q2 there. But nice to know that my teammate Lance Stroll did actually get off to quite a good result in qualifying there. But let's move on then into the race. So last season out, Bahrain Grand Prix was certainly actually quite an interesting one. Sebastian Vettel actually went from 18th on the grid to the race victory there. An absolutely phenomenal drive by him, ahead of Valtteri Bottas and Kimi Raikkonen rounding out the podium. It'd be Lewis Hamilton that was one of the big names to retire from that Grand Prix, but Max Verstappen came through just missing out on a podium there, with Esteban Ocon doing a fantastic job in the Force India car last season around here. Carlos Sainz doing well ahead of his compatriot Fernando Alonso there down in P7, with Grosjean, Daniel Ricciardo and Sergio Perez rounding out the points, with my teammate Lance Stroll just missing out there by 1.5 seconds, obviously, in P11. For our race, didn't quite go as smoothly as that. For those of you that do remember, the car, I just had no pace or rhythm in it. I'm not too sure what it was all about, but unfortunately we finished down in 19th and last place, which was certainly not the race result I would have wanted. So as we come into Season 2, we're certainly looking to try and better that result on the whole. As you can see, Ferrari, though, dominating the constructors' standings, already 25 points clear of Red Bull, who are obviously in at P2 after the opening round of the season. And Kimi Raikkonen doing a very good job to actually get the Ferrari car on pole. So as I said, yeah, Kimi Raikkonen would be on pole for round 2 of the season with, I think it was one of the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton just alongside him there. Sergio Perez would actually be very, very high up the order there, proving that Australia wasn't just sort of a one-lap luck from the Force India team. They really, really did have good one-lap pace with Esteban Ocon up in P6 there. Really just going to show that team can mix in with the top 10. Magnussen and Alonso would round out the top 10 there with Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, Hulkenberg, my teammate Lance Stroll, and Marcus Ericsson rounding out the top 15 with myself, Pierre Gasly, Van Dorn, Daniel Ricciardo with a penalty, and Brendan Hartley rounding out the order there. So clearly quite a few changes coming into Season 2. Force India certainly seem to be a team to watch that are on the rise, although not technically on paper. So the team, yeah, expecting a top 17 finish from myself in this race. Obviously, we should already be getting the R&D bonus, leaving this Bahrain Grand Prix, obviously, after the fairly strong showing back at Australia here. But here we are then, ready on the grid for round 2 of the season. It's certainly going to be quite an exciting one. Bahrain, certainly a whole lot of opportunities to try and make the overtakes. But on the grid then, it's 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights here in Bahrain. And it's lights out, and away we finally get going there. A huge hold off the line. Not a particularly good start from myself. They're getting a huge amount of wheel spin as we make the run towards turn 1. The Pierre Gasly is certainly going to have to capitalise on that. Breaking down in towards turn 1. There a little bit of contact actually on the outside there as everyone sorts of Constantine is up. So we will be able to make up a 3. It's looking like places there. Alonso just shuts the door on the exit of the corner there. So that almost got very, very tight between the pair of us. It's breaking down in towards the second braking zone there, as you can see. Just not going to go for any risky dive bombs just yet, but sort of going to slot into order there. You can see quite a few cars going 2, almost 3 wide, just up the road there. A little bit, well, almost a little bit of contact with Fernando there as he broke a lot earlier than I was expecting. Down into the hairpin though, Fernando and Kevin Magnussen there, both braking a lot earlier than I was expected, but I will certainly take the accidental double overtake there over the pair of them. And next up on the old hit list would be Nico Hulkenberg there, breaking down into the very, very tricky double left-hander there. I think of turn 9 and turn 10, but we're now up into P12 of this racer. So quite a good little start from myself. Up 4 places on this first lap of the Grand Prix, and I will certainly take that as we come through in towards Sector 3 of this opening lap. But skipping on to lap 3 there, and it would actually be a little bit of action just up the road here. We've got Nico Hulkenberg, I think Verstappen, and Romain Grosjean, who are all still fighting for position here. It's looking like Verstappen is going to try and make the move on Grosjean, as well as Hulkenberg there. They almost go 3 wide on the run towards turn 1, but they will just about slot back into order there. Unfortunately, we just weren't able to capitalise on that, and at this stage of the day, it was pretty much these guys fighting that was keeping me in contention there. Skipping on to lap 6 though, as you can see, a couple of drivers now had already started to make their first pit stops of the day, and on the end of this lap it would certainly be time to make ours. The tyres, they felt pretty much shot at this stage of the day, and obviously in the Bahrain heat the tyres really just completely fall off the cliff. Just absolutely phenomenal. You know, I think that was sort of the issue we had last season. Obviously we faced a puncture as well, but yeah, just the tyres around here really, they're either in good nick or they just aren't, and it's a little bit frustrating to try and drive with. But coming down into our pit box though, hopefully we're going to get off to a nice clean pit stop. No, we're not. Of course we get held by a Toro Rosso there. No idea why we were held for so long, but that certainly did cost me a good second and a half to Romain Grosjean there, who's going to find himself a little bit further away from me there. As we come out of the pit lane, we're going to drop quite far down the order there. We're going to be side by side almost with Ricciardo. He's just about going to be able to slot in just ahead of me there. And we will now move back down into P17, P16 by the time the first couple of cars had made their first pit stops of the day. You can see coming out of the final corner, Lance Stroll, my teammate there, has actually been able to take his tyres a couple of extra laps. And well, it appears the overcut has really, really worked for him. We've actually got Brendan Hartley as well in the Toro Rosso, trying to have a look down my inside here. Is he going to be able to make it work? We're almost going to be 3 wide in towards the first corner there. A little bit of contact made with the rear of that Toro Rosso there. But he will now move up into P16 there. A little bit unfortunate that we did lose out on that position there. But Lance Stroll now a good couple of seconds up the road, fighting with Kevin Magnussen. Brendan Hartley would actually face a couple more issues in this race, which would send him back down at the order there. But Kevin Magnussen as well, another driver struggling in this Bahrain heat. Clearly the Ferrari engine started to struggle just a little bit here. My teammate Lance Stroll had actually been able to move past the Haas driver here, and we're hoping to try and capitalise on this position as well. To the outside, in towards the final couple of corners here. Hopefully Magnussen Won't try to do too much defending. Yes, he will. He'll keep the nose on the inside. Not too happy with that considering the amount of issues he has got. But right around the outside we go, out of the final corner. And now we're going to move up into P15 once more in this Grand Prix. Then Magnussen will potentially think about going for a move on the outside of turn 1, but we just don't give him the option on the outside there. And now we do move back up safely into P15 of this Grand Prix there, which I will certainly take. Only a couple of seconds back from my teammate Lance Stroll, but he will have much fresher tyres there throughout this second stint of this Grand Prix there, which it was a little bit frustrating. See, the only sort of real action we had in this second stint after that would actually be a virtual safety car, as I think it was Valtteri Bottas unfortunately would retire from the Grand Prix, his second retirement in a row in this Williams Career Mode Season 2. He retired, I think it was on like lap 3 of the first round, and he's retired on lap 13 here in round 2. So Mercedes really do need to try and question their reliability on that car. He's got about as much luck as he did in the real-life F1 2018 season so far. But that'll help me move up one more place here now, up into P14, as now the VSC would be, well, removed from the track once more. There are a couple of more yellow flags, as obviously Valtteri parked on the inside of turn 1 there. Very unfortunate for him. But honestly, after that, our race just became very quiet. We make our second pit stop of the day on the end of lap 19 here to really just try and go through to the end of the day. Unfortunately, once again there, get held up by a Toro Rosso. Not too sure what the, why the Williams team is so cautious around those Toro Rosso cars there. And, well, we come back out of the pit lane. I think down in P15 we got one of the Toro Rossos just a couple of seconds back there. But yeah, we will move back into P15 once more there. And, well, unfortunately for me, as I said, well, this race would just become very quiet very quickly there. A little bit unfortunate. And, well, yeah, obviously you just end up with races like that, and especially in a Williams car where we're about a half a second off the pace of the guys ahead. We're quite clearly a bit quicker than the Toro Rossos, but we just don't have the pace to match, cars like the McLarens, the Renaults, towards the end of races there. But through the final corner then, as I said, a very quiet end to this Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel will come through for the race victory there, but it's only going to be P15 for me in what was a very lonely race.
So, here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more.
So it would be Charles Leclerc that would actually had a very miracle race. Not too sure. I think he was just able to pull off the one stop, which very few drivers were going to be able to do there. So Sebastian Vettel makes it 2 from 2 in the F1 2018 Season 2. Obviously, really, just wants to come into Season 2 and mark his dominance on the F1 2018 game. Lewis Hamilton will come through for P2 there, and then Charles Leclerc on the miracle one stop from P12 on the grid will come through for P3. An absolutely fantastic strategy by him and the Sauber team. They're able to stay ahead of Kimi Räikkönen. They see pace alone is, well, for a one-stop Grand Prix, his pace was actually very good. Sergio Perez, although that one-lap pace on the Force India was strong once more, it just wasn't able to maintain the race pace. Just ahead of the Red Bulls there, with Hülkenberg, Ocon and Carlos Sainz rounding out the point scorers there. Romain Grosjean would just miss out ahead of Van Dorn, Stroll, Alonso, myself, and then the two Toro Rossos there rounding out the field. But Seb, full 50 points after the opening 2 rounds of the season. Lewis and Kimi are... Lewis has even, jumped Kimi Räikkönen there. 33-30, with Perez all the way up in P4 there after 2 still very strong showings in the opening 2 rounds ahead of both Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen, tied on 16 points. Charles Leclerc jumps all the way up to P7 there, obviously, with those 15 points from that podium there, and I'm sure he'll look to try and hold on to those points throughout the rest of the season. Ahead of Grosjean, Fernando Alonso and Nico Hülkenberg rounding out the point scorers there. Esteban Ocon, Ericsson, Magnussen and I think Carlos Sainz all have points, which is Pierre Gasly, myself, Van Dorn, my teammate, and Hartley. and Valtteri Bottas, surprisingly, with no points on the board, which just leaves Williams and Toro Rosso there in terms of the constructors with no points. Ferrari already have a 1-2's lead at the top of the championship as well. That obviously just goes to show how much it's really had such a big hit on Valtteri Bottas in this championship so far there. But yeah, a little bit of a weird race on the whole, as I said. Yeah, just quiet. And I think sometimes, you can sort of accept those races. Other times you just want a little bit more action there. But in terms of the driver rivalry, we are leading Brendan Hartley, but we're still just 2 points down off my teammate Lance Stroll. So obviously, hopefully, we'll be able to try and recover those points over the next couple of rounds of the season. But obviously, there's still quite a way to go. Well, another 20 points up for grabs in the driver rivalry there, which obviously we'll really try to capitalise on over these next couple of rounds. In terms of R&D, though, to obviously finish off the episode, as you can see, we were able to claim quite a few points from this Grand Prix. Obviously, very quiet, as well as the 400-point team bonus there. 814 taken from that weekend takes us now up to 1,648, which we are actually going to spend on, I think it's the cost management on the aerodynamics there. Means the prices will be reduced for round 2 of the season, which obviously, unfortunately, that'll mean that we aren't able to get another upgrade on the car just yet. But there we are then. That has been the Bahrain Grand Prix. Once again, can only sort of apologise for a very quiet race on the whole. But if you're new around here, make sure you do like and subscribe if you want to see more of the F1 2018 Williams Road to Glory. Thank you all so much for the continued support on this series, and hopefully I will see you guys next time for the Chinese Grand Prix.